Hi, I'm making this video because I like the way that I do these problems more than the way the other video did these problems. So let's take a look at page 4 in your notes. Get my pen here. There we go. Um, First thing I want to do is come over to this diagram, and that's X degrees for that angle. That's R for the radius. This to me looks a little iffy. I want to make sure we understand that's an L, and I'm going to turn it into a nice cursive L so it doesn't look like a 1. Our arc length formula, this is where I do things a little differently. I set up a proportion because we're really good at solving proportions. And my proportion has the angle over 360, and that equals my arc length, which is part of the circle, the highlighted part, over the whole circle's circumference. So I can put a C there, or I could put 2 pi r, or I could put pi d. I'm going to leave it as C so that I can be flexible about which one I want to use. Once we set up that proportion, then we can plug in what we know. One thing should be left over, and that's the one thing we solve for. And for purposes of these problems, it'll always be that arc length. That's what we're looking for. But in the future, we'll be able to work backwards as well. So let's look at how we're going to set up and solve these problems. First thing we need to make sure of, I'm going to scroll a little bit here. There we go. Is that the angle and the arc match each other. Here's what I mean by that. On problem 1, they gave us this 107-degree angle right here. And yes, it in fact goes with, it points to this highlighted arc. That's a match. So that's good. That's the green light and we can go. So on this problem, I'm going to set up my proportion, degrees over 360, which is 107 over 360. Equals, I'm looking for the arc length. It says find the length of each arc. So I'm looking for this. That's my variable. I'm going to leave it as an L. And on the bottom here, I have circumference. Since they gave me radius, I'm going to use the circumference formula that says 2 times pi times the radius. That's my choice. And I'm going to plug into this while I'm at it. The radius is 6, simply because I have limited space to work with. So all numbers over here, that's a number, pi is a number, 6 is a number. I only have one unknown, and I can solve for that. So I'm going to multiply this way, cross multiply to solve. 107 times my 2 pi 6. Now, how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to grab my calculator. I'm going to go ahead and do the 107 times the 2 times the 6. I'm leaving pi out of it for a minute. And so I got 1,284. So I got 1284, but I didn't multiply pi in, so I still have pi. Equals, going this way, it'd be 360 times my L. I'm solving for L, so I need to divide both sides by 360. And when I do that, I'm ready to go ahead and plug it in my calculator. L is by itself. I'm going to switch to that because I will be rounding. It says nearest hundredth on these, so 2 decimal places. So 1,284 times pi, got the big ugly decimal for the top part, divided by 360 equals, and I got 11.21 if I round that to 2 decimal places. 11.21. And they did give me units. It was meters, and so my answer is still meters. Just because my part is curved doesn't change the units any. It's still a measurement that I could unbend it and hold it up to a ruler, a big ruler, 11.21 meters, whatever. That's our process, though. Take that proportion, plug in what we know, solve for what we don't. So let me do number 2 here. Number 2, first check, does the angle they gave me, the 38, match the arc that I'm looking for? And the answer is yes. So I'm all set to set up my proportion. So 38 over 360 equals, let's see, 38 over 360 equals, part over whole would be the arc, the part I'm looking for, over the whole circumference, which again, they gave me radius, so I'm going to go with the 2 pi r. 2 times pi times that radius times the 15. It's a bad looking 2. It didn't get better. Oh well. Cross multiply time. I'll go ahead and go this way first this time. Do the easy part. 360L equals, I'm going to once again multiply this way. I'm going to leave pi alone for now. I'm just delaying the big decimal part of this. So I'm doing 38 times 2 times 15, and I got 1140, and that'll still have pi sitting there. 1140 pi. To get L by itself, I need to divide by 360. And after I divide by 360, it's calculator time. L is going to be approximately, again, 2 decimal places here, so 1140 times pi divided by 360, and I got 9.95 if I round that the way they said. What did I say, 9.95? And again, my units are not going to change here. So it was originally inches, mine's still inches. That's how we do these problems. Now, I want to look at one more. The next one I want to look at is number 4. Number 4 is the first time we have a little bit of a mismatch. And let me show you what I mean by that. On number 4, the angle that they gave me is this angle. Right there. That angle points at this arc, but that's not the arc that they're asking for. They highlighted this one. So they gave me an angle over here, but they gave me an arc over here. That's a mismatch. So I need to fix that. 142 is not going to go into my proportion because it's not the angle that goes with this arc. I need this angle to make a match with my arc. And so I'm going to do 360 minus the 142 and get 218, which is that big, huge angle. I know we don't normally talk about angles bigger than 180, but in this case, we need to because we're talking about a major arc. And so now that I have the angle that goes with this arc, I can set up my proportion. So 218 is part of the degrees over 360 is all of the degrees. My arc length is part of the circle, and then my entire circumference is the full circle, 2 times pi times the radius, which is 4. And once again, you cross multiply that out. I'll let you go ahead and finish the job on that. Spoiler alert, after you get it done and after you round, you should get 15.22 centimeters. Do go ahead and cross multiply that out. Make sure you're using your calculator well and all of that to get that all done. Okay. All right. I'm going to jump down to the last one and at least look at setup for the last one. On this last one, they first tell me that NR is 8 feet. Always look in your description up here. Sometimes they give you things up here that you need instead of putting them on the diagram. So NR is 8 feet. That means the radius is 8 feet because that's what that is. And so if I put my 8 there, that's what we're talking about. Here's the reason I wanted to do this one, though. They're looking for arc NMP, the length of that. NMP. And arc length is not the degree measure. That's arc measure. Arc length is the inches or centimeters or whatever, or in this case, feet. Okay? So I need to do my proportion. The thing is, I need an angle that goes with that big major arc. Right now, the 162 is just arc MQ, which means it's this middle angle, because central angles equal their arcs. And when I look at this, let's see, if I look at this diameter right here, NQ, I know everything on this side would be 180. So if I do 180 minus 162, it'll give me this part right here. So 180 minus 162, and I get 18 for that part. And because they're vertical angles, this part will be the same. So if I put all three of those together, I will have the humongous angle that goes with this major arc. So 18 plus 162 plus the other 18 is 198. So what I'm actually going to put into my proportion is going to be just that, 198 degrees out of the 360 equals the length of this arc over the whole circumference, 2 times pi times the radius. Remember the radius they gave me before? That 8. And then you cross multiply and you solve it out. And again, spoiler alert, but do work this out. Make sure you get this. You should get 27.65 feet. Got some big circles going on here. Okay. But again, that one was weird because we needed to put all of those angles together and we needed to play detective a little bit to figure them out. In case you're wondering, if I had done 360 minus the 162 over here that I didn't want, I would get the same thing. So if you did that, good job. You can do it either way. All right. Hopefully this helps. There's a couple more on here. If you want to do those as practice, I have my answer key. Come see me for that. Otherwise, bye-bye.